Welcome to the Quantum Revenue Expansion Podcast. My name is Ursula, and I'm a sales expert, strategic business coach, and USA Today bestselling author. I love sharing strategies that show you exactly how to turn your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. If you're looking to take a quantum leap in your revenue or sales, your team, your productivity, your success, and your life, then you are meant to be here. My goal in every episode is to help you take your belief that it's possible to 2x or 10x your revenue while working way less to knowing that it is happening right now. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into episode 276, What It's Like to Coach with Us. In over 275 episodes, actually 276, as I said, I've never invited a client on to talk about what it's like to coach with us. I don't know, I just hasn't happened. And when I say us, I mean Rebekah Hall and myself, because we are the co-coaches at the CEO table. So we decided it would be really fun to invite one of our clients on. And we invited Melissa Swink. She is the super successful owner of Melissa Swink & Company, a virtual assistant company. She's been on the show before, so you might have even seen one of her past episodes. If not, definitely go back and take a listen. And we invited Melissa to come on and share her experience of what it's really like to coach with us. And, you know, Melissa's been sitting at the CEO table for over 3 years now since we launched it. So she's got some things to say. And during this episode, we pull back the curtains and Melissa shares what it's been like to take her seat at the CEO table, how much her business has grown, why it's grown, what it's like to have two business coaches in the same program instead of just one, and what it would have cost her to not join, and a whole lot more. We covered a lot of topics. It was a lot of fun. Melissa has also offered to come back during a live coaching session with us, and we're going to take her up on that offer. So definitely watch for that upcoming episode. And if this episode inspires you to want to make a move and see what it would be like to coach with us, then you're definitely going to want to apply to win a VIP private coaching intensive. We've got a giveaway going on in the month of March. It's valued at over $10,000. We're going to give away 2 of them. So all the details are in the show notes below. So definitely take a moment, fill out the application. It's really short, and put your foot in. Come and see what it's like to coach with us. And also look for the episode we're going to do with Melissa, where she's going to come on and we're going to be coaching her live. I guarantee that's going to be a lot of fun as well. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Hey, welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. I am so excited about our episode today. As you can see, I have 2 very special guests. We have my co-pilot, Rebekah Hall, and one of our amazing clients, Melissa Swink of Melissa Swink & Company. And today we're going to talk about what it's like to coach with us. And Melissa so graciously said she was more than willing to come on and talk about it, because Melissa was one of the first people who joined us at the CEO table. After we burned Sales Coach Now to the ground, I love saying that. We burned it to the ground, and out of it grew Ursula Inc., the 2X Intensive, and the CEO table. And Melissa was one of our early adopters, and she's been in it ever since. So I think this is your 3rd time around the sun. So quick thing, Melissa's been on the show several times. Rebekah's obviously been on the show several times. Their bios are in the show notes. If you don't know us yet, Rebekah Hall is my co-pilot. We coach our clients together at Ursula Inc. We've been doing this for over a decade in many different ways, shapes, and forms. And our clients tell us they really enjoy that because we're kind of the yin and yang. But we're going to hear from Melissa today. Melissa owns a virtual assistant company, and she works with business owners to help them scale their businesses by growing their team. So Melissa, let's give you an opportunity just to share a little bit about yourself and your business, and then what kind of brought you into our world.
Sure. That's a great place to start. So a little bit about me on more of a personal level. I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin with my family. I have, as of today, a 9-year-old daughter. I have a couple of cats who are sleeping just outside the screen here. I'm involved in a book club, and I enjoy cooking. I do a lot of fitness and health. And of course, I'm super excited about the business that I have and the work that we do with our clients. So a little bit more about my professional background and how I got into the line of work that I'm in, and got brought into Ursula and Rebekah's world. My corporate background is in operations and logistics. So that is definitely a lens through which I view the work that we do with our clients. But I was working at a building materials company through like 2008 and the housing crisis, and survived a lot of layoffs, which was great. Of course, at the time, it was great to have a job, but ultimately, I found myself in a role that wasn't a good fit for me. So I decided to take the leap and branch out on my own. I wanted time freedom. I wanted more control over the work I did and who I did that work with, and started doing some process improvement consulting here in my area. During that time, I was introduced to the concept of a virtual assistant. And I can tell you in Green Bay, Wisconsin, 12 years ago, nobody knew what that was. I still
Right.
certainly meet people every day who aren't sure. And that's great. And I'm always happy to share more. But as soon as I discovered this concept and heard about this, I knew right away that it was the solution to so many of the challenges that business owners were facing. Because as a consultant, I could talk to clients all day long about, what I saw that they should be doing. And they certainly knew what they needed to be doing deep down, but they either didn't have the time to do it because they had, 100 other irons in the fire at any given point in time, or they just didn't have the skills, or, it wasn't something that they personally wanted to spend their time on. So I actually hit the pause button on the consulting work I was doing and went all in and started offering virtual assistant services, and grew to the point where I reached my capacity. I couldn't take on any more clients, couldn't take on any more projects. My daughter was born, for the first time in my life, my schedule was no longer completely my own. So those of us who have become parents know exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where I was getting really burned out, and I was working evenings and weekends and trying to fit it all in. And I attended a business retreat, and the coach who was running that retreat said, "You need to hire a team, like you need to hire help." And I was really resistant to that idea because I liked my small business that I worked intimately and closely with my clients. But the reality was that business model pretty much ran my life. And so
Yeah.
there was no scalability or freedom there. So I started building a team. Fast forward to today, we're a team of about 20, including myself. So we've definitely scaled. We started building the team in 2018. And actually, how I got introduced to Ursula and Rebekah, one of our clients was working with the two of you at the time. And we were able to join in on a coaching call. And we were helping this client do some outreach and some marketing activities. And we were all impressed, Ursula, with, how many great tips and tools and tactics you had to offer to help us help our client during that call. And I got off the call and I went, I wonder what they could do to help me. So I signed up for a sales camp. It was the last sales camp that you ever did live. To your point, that was
Wow.
kind of when you were pivoting. And I'll be honest, I heard the invitation to the CEO table and I went, "Oh, I'm not there yet." I immediately disqualified myself. But you
Yeah.
guys went and found me and hunted me down. And yeah, a couple months later, I ended up joining CEO table. So here we are.
Oh my goch, so many things to
I forgot
unpack
about
there.
that.
I was gonna say there's the spiel in like a few minutes or less.
It's amazing. Well, it's been an amazing journey. Rebekah and I obviously love working with you, and you
Mhm.
make it easy for us to just walk alongside of you. And this episode, for everyone who's listening, was sparked because I was having a conversation with a client who wants to work with us. And it's like on her dream board, it's on her vision board of working with Ursula and Rebekah. And she was sharing this with me. And, it made me realize that there's a lot of you out there who listen to the podcast and, who are part of our community who probably wonder, what is it like? Like, I want to coach with them. I'm scared. I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know if I cannot afford it. Right. Like, I
Mhm.
feel the pull, but I'm just not sure. And so I thought, wow, it'd be cool to have Melissa on. Of course, Melissa gets on. She's like, hey, we should come on and do a coaching session sometime, like a real coaching session. So I'm totally down for that. And that's what
Love it.
happened. You guys can actually hear that. So,
Mhm.
so Melissa, when you hear that, there's people out there who are listening, who are thinking, it's on my wish list. It's on my bucket list to coach with Ursula and Rebekah. Like, what does
Mhm.
that spark for you?
Yeah, I would say all of the common fears, and I'll go ahead and say objections or hesitations that people have about getting into a coaching relationship. I had all of those. I'll be honest. Like on one hand, I really wanted to work with the two of you, and I knew deep down, like I I can't afford not to. But then I'm just like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? That's a huge investment. How am I going to make this happen? And I'll be honest, I think it was about 2 or 3 months since I did sales camp that I officially joined CEO Table. And I'll be honest, I I started incorporating it into my budget. I'm like, if I were to do CEO Table, here's what this is going to look like. And within about 6 weeks, the money showed up and I jumped in both feet. So I know we talk a lot about in CEO Table, money loves a plan. So I'm like, well, it's showing up. So I'm going to do this thing. I mean, it's worked out ever since.
Yeah. And you're still hanging out with us, which we love, and we love witnessing. A lot of questions. I want to give Rebekah a chance, my co-pilot, to kind of jump in here.
I want to know, like, I really want you to touch on a couple of those objections, like what really underneath, because I dare say they're probably ones that everybody have, and you kind of touched on them, but like choosing coaches is not just a tactical decision, it's also an emotional decision. So can you kind of share a couple of those things?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, this is a great conversation in terms of timing, because I just wrote a blog about how I select and hire business coaches or coaches in general, because last month on my blog, I had shared that I did a 2023 audit of my calendar and evaluated what was worth the time and money and energy, and frankly, what wasn't. And one of the questions that my audience was asking me is, okay, great. We're glad that, you have a business coach, a life coach, a health coach. How do you find coaches that are a good fit for you? Like, can you talk more about that? And so the very first thing that I had shared was, does the coach have experience? Like, have they personally been able to achieve the thing that you want to achieve? And so, I think it took me a long time to actually admit out loud, much less like publicly on a podcast like this. Like, I know that I have $1 million business that is being built. I didn't know anybody else around me who was at that level. And so I knew I had to find somebody who had, accomplished that themselves, but also helped others accomplish that as well. But I think, they need to have that experience. And certainly the two of you have a wealth of experience and knowledge that you brought to the table. So I had total confidence that I was engaging with the right people who could help me do that. I think the other thing is too, and I shared this in my blog as well, finding people who are aligned with your values and the way that you work. I think that's really important. It kind of a funny story. I have a friend who interviewed a potential business coach, and her family is very important to her. So she's like, I work my business around my family. And this coach does not have children. She has dogs. And she's like, well, here's how I do this with my dogs. And my friend was like, okay, you don't understand. Like, I can't just drop my kids off at doggy daycare or put them in the kennel. Well, I'm trying to work. So, you have to have that alignment and that understanding. I feel like, we have somewhat similar lifestyles. And so that's been an alignment as well. I think the fears that I had about, joining a program, it definitely felt like a huge leap to join a 12-month program. And I say that now and I laugh because the 12 months flew by, and I think we're already like 3/4 through my third year in the program. So, and there's so much work to be done. So I think initially, and when I started working with coaches, I would do like a short-term type of coaching agreement. Like maybe it was like a 6-week jumpstart thing, or maybe it was like a VIP session. And that's great. And it's kind of like, when I was getting my feet wet with working with coaches in general, just that little bit, it was like, I just want to have somebody tell me what to do and then be blessed and be on my way. But so then the idea of a 12-month program felt like a huge commitment. But the reality is that, of course, we had our 2-hour VIP session when I started the program and have had several ever since. But the real questions come in when you're actually doing the implementation and when things get hard. Like, that's why, and now I understand why, having a 12-month plus program is really, what it takes to make lasting change.
Yeah. Everything is applied learning at that point with many, many variables. And so, yeah, that totally makes sense. But I love it. I hope we're going down memory lane. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that conversation. So,
yes, for sure.
cool.
Yeah. So you said something interesting about that piece of it used to be like this little chunk of time, and Rebekah was alluding to this. It used I used to hire like one session or a couple or like a 6-week program or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like, what is it like to be in the coaching container? We talk about the word container a lot, and I think a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean? Because they'll say you join this container for 12 months. So it's more than just like you're on the train, and you're with these other CEOs who are, some are ahead of you, some are just starting out, like people are different. What's it like to be in that container of other CEOs who are also getting it done?
Yeah, I think what I really enjoy about the CEO table program compared to other things I've done in the past, once I understood the importance of that longer term relationship and developing that and cultivating it over the years. I think that I enjoy having that blend of having the one-on-one coaching, but then also the group coaching and the connections through CEO table, because I've learned so much through others within the program, whether it be during our group coaching calls where, if somebody asks a question, it's like, oh yeah, that, kind of gets me thinking of something that I might want to implement. Or, now that you mentioned it, that feels like a sticking point in my business too. Those calls are great. I think the one-to-ones with getting to know so many great people has been a joy as well, because, we're all trying to get out there and connect with other business owners who are in a similar level or in wanting to grow and expand and having those conversations. So I do like the blend that you guys offer within your program compared to others.
Well, and you're one of our leaders in the community who shares a lot. Like, you have a lot of resources. You're always willing to share. You're always willing to support people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you help a lot of people with hiring their first virtual assistant, or maybe they're hiring an employee and they just, you're super generous. And I think that when any of us are generous, it comes back to us in amazing ways. Mm-hmm. So for you, since you've joined the CEO table and now you're at 20 team members, which is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've more than 2x'd your business. Where are you in that trajectory of?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as I was preparing for our conversation today, I actually went and dug back through some of the numbers. And I'll say that the numbers from the years before I built the team, I just cringed, like, oh my gosh, that's such a micro business, like compared to what we're at now. So interestingly enough, since I started building a team in 2018, our revenue has 20x'd.
Wow.
20x, which is crazy. And then since joining CEO Table in May of 2021, our revenue has 4x'd.
Yeah.
So it's been, so we've quadrupled our business. And so then I started looking at, okay, what if I never joined CEO Table? What if I just continued on? We were growing. I mean, we were in a growth mode with the team when I had met you guys. And I figured conservatively, like, let's say I steadily was growing at a rate of maybe 25% a year. Nothing too crazy. Like, that's kind of the number that dropped in for me. It was like, what if we just steadily grew, step by step over the years versus the massive growth that we've experienced in the last, almost 3 years, because that started in May of 2021. When I ran those numbers, the difference was about $210,000 in revenue.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy, because Ursula and we talked about, that's actually almost the number that we talk about if people choose not to. We're like, you're kind of missing out on this much money when you don't get the help that you need. So that's, thank you for validating our hypothesis.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball exactly, of course, of how, the two paths would have panned out, but that was the conservative estimate that I put together yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow. Because I remember when we first had a conversation, I was looking at CEO Table, you're like, what if you were to 2x your investment or 10x your investment? I'm like, that would be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, that sounds too good to be true. But I ran the numbers and it's there. So it would have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So you have 10x. Yeah, you've 10x'd it. You've 10x'd your investment and then some, and more of that to come, because we know you will break the 7-figure mark. So knowing all that, like when you look back at this journey so far, what are the top 2 blocks or limiting beliefs? Because we talk a lot about that. We invite clients to the 2X intensive to let go of their top blocks and, stop working all the time, right? So what are the top things you've let go of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the thing that jumps out at me first and foremost is the limiting belief or the lie that says that's for other people, not for me. So I can't tell you how many times I've listened to podcasts like this in the earlier days of my business where the guests and the people speaking were so far beyond where I was at in business. I'm like, yeah, that would never be me. Like, I try to do all these things in my business and it just never quite works out. Or maybe we get ahead and then things start to fall back. Like, I always felt like it was outside of my reach, like being at this level. And that obviously is not true because I have been able to break through. And again, I think that goes back to not having to try and figure everything else out myself.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we've all been there. And I'm sure some people listening now are like, I wish I could have what Melissa has. And the truth is you can. For our listeners, you can. I mean, Melissa has just shared with you, she did not have this. She started at 0 just like everybody else.
Yep.
And you took it step by step and you were willing. And, Rebekah, you say this all the time. We're not everybody's coaches. We're not. We are, though, Melissa's team right now that's helping her. And, right now, this is a fit because of our shared values and our experience. And we've been able to really support your growth. And it, like, Rebekah, you say this too, we're not going to pull anyone over the finish line. That's like, it has to be, we're going to meet you in the middle. We're going to meet you where you're at. And Melissa, you are always willing. You're like, you're doing all the things. So it's not like Melissa's sitting at home watching Real Housewives, although maybe she does sometimes, but most of the time, let's say this, not most of the time, 25 hours of the week, because that's your work week. You've been able to maintain a 25-hour work week as a mom, which is amazing. A lot of people can't believe that. Like, you've never increased your hours to increase your pay.
Right.
But able to do this and, create the business and the life you want. I did want you to talk about that a little bit. How, because that was one of the blocks too. So like a little bit in the beginning, right? Like you wanted to grow the business, but there was a little bit of like, I don't want to grow the hours. You were very clear about that. And we were like, well, that's perfect because that's our model as well. How have you been able to maintain your 25-hour work week?
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I do remember that being one of my concerns. And I think this is also the second part to your question as a great segue. I think one of the blocks was, thinking that I had to follow an exact path to success that didn't align with me and my lifestyle. You would hear about, there's no shortage of tactics and advice there for out there how to grow your business. And you can get, 100,000 different answers. But I think for me, it was, okay, this is where I want to be at. And here are my non-negotiables. I also don't want to do this in a way that will cause me to have to work more hours than I do right now. I don't want to add to my plate. I don't want the extra stress. So how do we do this in a way that feels sustainable? And again, the word aligned with my lifestyle. So I have maintained about 20 to 25 hour work weeks. Typical day for me is I usually log in around 9 o'clock in the morning after I put my daughter on the bus and finish getting ready for the day. And I usually log off around 3 to take a walk and get some fresh air and clear my head for before my family gets home and all the activities we have in the evenings. Like, it's very, my days are very focused, but it's so rare that I work an evening or on a weekend anymore. Usually it's if I'm working on a project and I don't want to spend the extra time. I'm often off on Fridays. Sometimes I work a couple hours in the morning to tie up some loose ends, but the schedule works for me and my family. And again, I've been able to quadruple my income or my sales while maintaining that schedule.
Yeah. And yeah, you've grown your company significantly. What would you say? Like, I'm sure people are like, how? Is it about systems, processes? Is it about team? Like, when you look at that, what are just a few tips that you can give people who are like, how did you do that?
Yeah. So I would say all of the above. I think that it involved a couple of different things. Eliminating packages or services that just felt like they were cumbersome to deliver or maybe weren't as profitable as we would have liked. So it also has been saying no to lesser opportunities to make room for greater opportunities. Systems and processes always, and Rebekah and I could probably chat further about that because she's been extremely helpful in developing some of those. I can share more in a second. Just, I think the team structure has made a huge difference where one of the things that we've worked on is having some team managers in place to help answer questions from the team members. So as my team has evolved over the years, I can kind of go off on this tangent for a second. Is my first step was to essentially offload all of the client work I was doing to my team. That was phase one. But then in that business model, then while I wasn't doing client work, I was constantly answering questions because I was the go-to for the entire team if there'd be a question. Mm-hmm. So then we worked on implementing a layer of team managers in place who were the first point of contact for questions and troubleshooting and things like that. And so that has also taken an amount of time and energy off of my plate so that I can do more business development and revenue generating activities. So yeah, I think it's been the team structure has made a huge difference. There's been so many things that we've implemented in order to be able to sustain and also increase the capacity for growth as we have that, that 7-figure plus business in mind.
Yeah. And you've done a great job of setting that boundary. And I think for business owners, like you got to have the boundary and the decision of like, I'm only going to work 20, 25 hours, whatever that number is for you. And then you hold that. Yeah. So good. I want to make sure we have time. So the structure of the coaching program, the CEO table, as Melissa mentioned, it's a group program, but you also get private coaching. Mm-hmm. So Rebekah and I lead the group coaching sessions, and you get one 3 times out of the month weekly. And then you have private sessions to use with Rebekah and some private sessions to work with me. Mm-hmm. The private sessions with Rebekah around systems, operations, revenue modeling, things that I would say are super boring. Just kidding. No, like I think that's very necessary in the business. For those of you who don't really know us, you can start to see our personalities are very different. And I work on the mindset, the blocks, the things that are getting in your way to free your mind, your subconscious mind up so that you can keep moving forward. You can get rid of those things that might be stopping you. So Melissa, one of the things we hear from our clients is they like that they get 2 coaches. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, well, that's weird. And I've heard from people too, they think it's very unusual that 2 coaches can actually not only get along, but their egos can fit in the same space. And I find that not only do our egos fit in the same place, Rebekah and I have publicly shared, like, we love co-coaching. We wouldn't want to be coaching. I don't want to speak for Rebekah, but I know I love coaching with Rebekah. It's really powerful to be able to support our clients just like this, like in a sandwich, a Ursula Rebekah sandwich, because there's areas that, Rebekah really is passionate about. There's areas that I'm passionate about. And so that our clients can get the best of both of us. So Melissa, I'll give you a chance, and then I want to hear from Rebekah too. Melissa, what's it like to work with 2 coaches inside of one program?
Yeah, and actually, now that you mention it, one of the things that I noticed in the past with other coaching stints that I've done, I wouldn't even say programs because they were pretty short. Like I said, they were within a couple of days to 6 weeks or just a single session. I think in those other programs, we had the lead coach who is the one that you see all over the website. You listen to their podcast, like they're very visible in their business. And then oftentimes then they have other coaches who work alongside of them, or I'll go ahead and say below them, who do not have nearly the same level of experience. And so, there will be times where it's like, well, I want to work with that person that I've been listening to and I've been seeing, but I'm not at that level yet. So I'm, talking to this person down here who is not nearly as qualified or experienced. That does not happen in CEO table because the two of you both have so much experience to lend. And it's exactly right, where it's like a yin and the yang, where it's like, I know, which things that I can go to, and Ursula is going to take the lead on in terms of guiding me through or providing feedback. And I know exactly what I need to go to Rebekah for and what we need to focus on during our sessions, because again, you both have extensive experience and in different areas. You specialize in different areas. So as far as, we'll start with Rebekah. During our one-on-one sessions, and Ursula, you brought this up, is, we focus on a lot of systems and processes. So I think with Rebekah, you've saved me so much time and energy by not overcomplicating things, just keeping it really simple. I remember one time that I came to you and said, one of the things that's taking a lot of time and energy right now is team onboarding and going through the same things every time we have a new team member come in. And I think that I need to create a course for new team members coming in. And I wanted to talk about, like, what kind of software do I need for this? And how do I make these videos? And you were like, honestly, why do you need to build a course to onboard your team members? Like, why don't you just record a series of videos of where to find what and information they need to know, and just make a simple checklist in a Google sheet and have them watch those videos? And I was like, okay, that took me probably like dozens of hours of work and way overcomplicating.
Well, and I would say that, Melissa, you have an expertise in systems and operations and processes. And it's such a great example of, we can all have an expertise and need an outside person, especially I think when we're really good at it, we can overcomplicate it because we think, wow, we gotta bring the Olympic level of this to the game, right? And then someone else, like a coach like Rebekah, can look in and be like, is that the best use of your time? It can be that one thing that can make that shift. And so,
that's huge, because I'm so close to my business. Some days I'm like, I don't even know how to describe what we do. Like, we're just like so zoomed in. It's helpful to have other people help you zoom out and be like, this is all you need to do. Why would you spend all this time and money creating a special course?
Right. Yeah.
So then, so Rebekah and I certainly work on a lot of like how to, like, I would say it's the implementation, like, how do I do this, or what's going to be the best way? Another example, I know we've talked about team structure. And so I thought maybe I needed pods, if you will, of like groups of team members working together on accounts. And Rebekah, you really were able to show me, like, I think the best way to go about structuring your team is to add that level of team managers instead of the pods. So that was huge. Again, it's like, I have an idea, and, maybe Rebekah and certainly you, Ursula, can, help zoom out a little bit and let's make this less complicated. I think with Ursula, I think what's super interesting is all the insights that you have, many practical, many intuitive, of, what is the right path for each of the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. So I know we've talked about income ceilings and money blocks, which certainly can vary drastically from person to person. I think marketing strategies were like, I'm getting a hit that you need to be visible over here, or I get the sense that there's something going on with that where, we're kind of at an income ceiling. So those are always super interesting sessions to have.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes I don't know where the information comes from, and our clients are like, whatever that thing is you do that. Like, someone said that to me once, and I'm like, I'm not even sure what that means, but okay, intuit what's going on. And yes, we were talking about Rebekah. I know our clients really appreciate just her ability to just zero in on something, laser in, simplify it, and move forward. Yeah. In fact, someone on our team, who you guys know, Cassandra, recently said, she goes, I wish, she was listening to one of Rebekah's podcasts. She's like, I wish I could just put Rebekah in my pocket and take her everywhere and just pull her out when I need her. And I think that's a great way. Like, Rebekah just has that ability to laser in. Rebekah, what's it like for you to co-coach and be part of the CEO table community?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it makes coaching a lot more enjoyable. there's just not one specific way. there's not like a cookie cutter, right, for a business. There's building blocks, there's things that you absolutely have to have, but how those things get deployed, how they get used is just, it's so custom. And so creating the container where, I get to sit in my genius and know that there's other support around is really nice. And I think it's giving yourself the permission to have that team around you. It's a lot of coaches are, the one coach, and I never say there's never any bad coaches, because if they're a coach, they're coaching someone, and that's the right coach for them, I guess, at that time. I mean, I've had lots of coaches myself, but when you're really ready to go for it and really surround yourself and up level yourself, it's really helpful to have more than one perspective, because practical application can just be done in so many ways.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, well, we are almost out of time. So just, I guess, Melissa, just to wrap up, for someone who's sitting out there listening, and we know some of you have been listening for a while, because I hear from you, and you're kind of circling around. And even in your example, you didn't know right away. You thought, oh, this would be really great, but I don't even know how to make it. Like, there were a lot of objections. Like you just disqualified yourself.
Yeah.
So for someone who's listening that might have disqualified themselves a couple of times, but they're listening to you and they're seeing something in you, and they're thinking, if Melissa can do it, I can do it too. Melissa came from zero. She grew a business. Now she's 20x'd, and then she 4x'd, and she's done all this business growth. She's working on a 7-figure business. What would you say to them?
Yeah. I think the next, if you know that deep down, without all the noise that, is in your head or the stories that you've made up, if you know deep down that this is something that's calling you forward, I would just encourage you to take the step to just have the conversation. It's a conversation. It's certainly, it doesn't obligate you to, move forward with the program if it's not something that makes sense for you at this time where you're at. But I would just say, have the conversation. Ursula and Rebekah are not scary. We had great
conversation all the time. We're not scary.
They're not scary. It's not scary. I mean, I have personally been on sales calls with other coaches where I felt like there's no way I'm getting off this call if I don't pull out my credit card and start working with them today. I a lot of scary tactics out there. Like, if you don't coach with me, then, you're not going to be successful. Like, there's a lot of pretty shady sales tactics, I'll go ahead and call it out, that I've experienced over time. This is not one of those calls. So I say, have the conversation, and so that you can make an informed decision with, is this the right time and the right environment for you to coach?
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. By the way,
just as comfortable with a no as you are with a yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yes, absolutely. That you can know that you have all the information and you can make an informed decision of what's the next best step for you.
Yeah. And in the show notes, we'll have a link so you can fill out the application, and then we can book a call. You can book a call with us.
Yeah.
And we'll have a conversation. So Melissa, and this is the other thing, we love our clients. We work with clients who make an impact on the world. We love what Melissa's up to and how she supports her clients and their growth in hiring. So Melissa, for someone who's out there who's like, I'm thinking about hiring my first or even my second virtual assistant, how can they, what steps should they take? What can they receive from you? Could they book a call? I know you have a free gift for them. How can you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you are at a point in your business where you know that time is feeling constrained and you have things that you keep putting on the back burner that you're not getting to, or maybe you've worked with virtual assistants in the past, but they've been individuals, and you're ready to look into what does it look like to work with a virtual assistant team where you have access to a variety of people with a variety of skill sets. Would love to have you check out my website, melissaswink.com. There are links there to book a consultation with me. You can learn more about the way we work with our clients. Also on my website, available is a gift for you, which is a free download, 3 steps to scale your business with a virtual assistant. In that PDF, I will walk you through 3 of the key areas that working with a virtual assistant can make a huge impact on not only the way that you spend your time, but also how you grow and scale your business as well.
Yeah, awesome. And what's great about working with Melissa is she has a successful company.
Yes.
It's successful. It's a healthy business. She doesn't work all the time. So if that's important to you, that's how she helps you hire a virtual assistant to help you do the same. So I think I just want to make sure people know that if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, you want to hire from a company that's healthy, a company that's doing all the things and shares your values.
Yes.
Rebekah Hall, final word or anything that you want to share?
This was fun. We should do this with more of our clients.
Yeah, we're going to. I agree. And I already said this publicly. We're going to bring Melissa back because she said it. And our clients have the best ideas. And when I listen to our clients, we do it. So I think we'll call it like coaching live or something like that. So, so we'll bring that back in the future. We have a lot of shows coming up. Just a lot that's getting booked really quickly. We're doing a show every week, but all of a sudden, like we're booked through April. So we'll see if we can get that or booked into April. See how soon we can make that happen. Melissa Swink with Melissa Swink and Company. Thanks for hanging out with us today. You are awesome. We appreciate everything that you've shared today. So thank you.
You are so welcome. I hope it's helpful for your listeners. And if that's you and if this is speaking to you, go ahead and take the next step. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It might even be fun. Look at this. They might even be hanging out with us doing well like this. Awesome. Thank you. And Rebekah Hall, always fun to hang out with my co-pilot. Love coaching with you. This is always great. So we will make more of this happen. To our listeners all over the world, we appreciate you. If there's anything we can do, you can email us at contact@ursulainc.co. And also, if you look in the show notes, there is a link you can fill out about the 2XI application to just book a call with us. So send us a little info and Trisha and team will get that scheduled. That's it for this week, everybody. Make this your most epic month yet. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to leave a review on iTunes so I know what you like and can create content that guides you to up-level your business even more. If you want more strategic business tips, follow me on social media. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and you can visit my website at www.ursulainc.co. I love being on this journey with you and can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. In the meantime, make this your most epic month yet.